Live from Los Angeles, this is Dr. Erin. We come together each day to know the truth, live on spiritual principle, and align with universal law. Today we're going to talk about the 10 principles of a wealth mindset. Yes, money does not equate to wealth. The truth is, and the fact is that you are more likely to lose your money than keep wealth if you don't have a wealth mindset. So knowing this, not only will you lose everything, but you will also never have a fulfilled life. Okay, let's break this on down. The truth is this, is that they've done a study and 1/3 of all people that win the lottery end up doing bankruptcy. Okay, so it's not about getting wealth, it's about understanding a wealth mindset. So we're going to break on down 10 principles of a wealthy mindset, because the truth is money does not equate to wealth. Okay, so first we have to define what is wealth, and for each person that is different. But from a realistic standpoint, it is really how long you can live without, generating money. How much wealth you have that can sustain you during times of crisis, during times of pandemic, right? That is wealth from the standpoint of actual money. Okay, we obviously, as a doctor of divinity, we teach the prosperity mindset and aligning to truth and aligning to yourself and health and all of that, which is true wealth, right? But let's get down to the tactics of money, because it's Wealth Wednesday, you guys. It's Wisdom Wednesday, and we talk about money, prosperity, and wealth and business, and in the realm of that, investing in all kinds of things, because I truly believe if you're somebody who has had a divine calling to have a spiritual, business, or become a spiritual leader or a spiritual coach or even a minister, it's important to understand money and wealth. So let's break this on down. There's an actual true story, okay? It's really sad and really funny at the same time, okay? The gentleman's name was William Bud Post III, or his name is rather, and he won the lottery in 1988. He won $16.2 million. And basically it was said that the day he won the lottery, he had supposedly, I don't know if this is true or not. This is like a story I've heard, okay? He had $2.46 in the bank. And he right away went out and he thought, well, I'm going to make money off this, right? So actually, he bought like a used car lot, a twin engine airplane. He leased a thing to do a restaurant. Lo and behold, he actually ended up spending more than his annual distribution from the lottery, which was $395,000 a year he would get. He won $16.2 million, and he was going to get distribution of $395,000 per year. Well, he really, within the first year, he went over his spending, right? So basically what happened is he started having all these problems. His brother actually, because what happens is when people find out you have the lottery, right? You're like, you should be able to pay for everything. You should give everybody money, right? So his brother actually got pissed at him, supposedly, and hired a hitman to actually kill him, which didn't happen, thank goodness. Then he was sued by his landlord, sometimes girlfriend, for saying that he actually pawned her ring to buy the lottery ticket, and it went to the courts, and she won. So he ended up having to pay back this stuff, whatever. He ended up not paying for it, and he ended up going to jail out of all of it. Lo and behold, bottom line, his end remark was, I was happier when I was broke. And the point is that William Bud Post III, if you're out there, I'm sending you so much love right now, because I can't imagine the lessons and the blessings that you learned from winning the lottery. Because according to Certified Financial Planner Board of Standards, 1/3 of all lottery winners, there's my dyslexia, 1/3 of all lottery winners end up claiming bankruptcy. So the point is this, is that money doesn't equate to wealth, okay? So let's break on down. Obviously, we know that true wealth really is health. It is being able to innovate and have an amazing, beautiful life where you are centered and grounded and so on and so forth. But today we want to break down some basic principles for you on this. And the first principle is purpose versus confused. So what does this mean? Basically, we're taking a look at what does it mean when you take a look at people out there that have prosperity, that have wealth, that have actual like passive income, they have investments, they actually can sustain in the midst of a crisis, in the midst of a pandemic, in the midst of whatever. What are the principles that they live by? What is the mindset that they have that they live by? So I'm going to break down 10 of these distinctions for you today, okay? The first one is purpose versus confused. Successful people and wealthy people are purpose driven. We're not talking about, and let's just make it clear real quick, I'm not talking about people who are multimillionaires that are miserable, that are on antidepressants, but they have a lot of money, okay? We're not talking about that kind of wealth. We're talking about people that really have had a balance between understanding money and understanding purpose and understanding that life is this amazing relationship of expression of for the highest good, okay? So purpose and confusion, okay? Purpose versus confusion. When I'm working with top CEOs, celebrities, or training and developing spiritual leaders, the number one distinction you can begin to find is purpose-driven versus confusion. And it doesn't mean that if you're confused, you can't become purpose-driven. But basically, people have wealthy mindset, they're intentional. They have reasons, they have figured out their why. And that's the primary thing is I found over and over again that success equates because people have found an authentic why. It's what drives them. It's what has them become unstoppable. It's what gets them out of bed over and over again in the morning, okay? Confused, people basically go round and around in circles. They start projects, they stop projects, they get stopped in the middle of a pandemic, they do whatever because they're not driven off of a purpose. They're not driven for the highest good. Yes, yes, yes. And so it's super important to get purpose. You have to birth your purpose. And how we birth our purpose, again, is a formula, which is basically your triumphs plus your passions, plus your skill set. And we go into that in society, okay? The second one that I want to go into, which is commitment versus trying, okay? So commitment versus trying. So what does this mean exactly? Commitment's everything, you guys. The universe, your subconscious, everything goes off of, it just says yes. That's all. So if you have mixed messages and you keep starting, stopping, you're confused, you start trying, the universe has to send back mixed messages, right? So we want to get really clear of what you're committed to. So birthing your purpose comes out of really getting clear of what really matters to you. What are your core principles? What are your core, standards in your life? What really matters to you of making a difference in the world, right? So people with a wealthy mindset direct specific energy upon mind with total conviction, okay? If you want to have a great life, you want to have wealth, you've got to decide. You've got to be convicted. You've got to commit to it, right? They have decided to be successful no matter what. They don't know how, and we don't teach that it's not about outlining. We say that you can't outline. You can't know every possible step. In fact, that's one of the things that people that are trying, they try and figure out everything before they actually commit to it. They want all of the information. They keep wanting to figure out, well, how am I going to do this? And I need to outline all of it before they actually do it, okay? It all is with a power of mind, commitment, commitment, commitment. If you want to have a wealthy life, financially, abundantly, in your mindset and everything, you've got to commit. You've got to commit. You don't figure out how, you won't ever know how. No one knows how. No, there's not one specific roadmap, especially in entrepreneurship. Like, forget it. There's some principles, but there's no roadmap. You've got to give up the what, the how, and get to yes, get to commitment, okay? It is important that often the trying people go around circles, they zigzag, they start, they stop, they do all this stuff. Life is chaotic and disorganized for people who are trying. Committed people just look to the North Star, they have their life purpose statement or whatever that we create in society as well. They commit to that and they just say, guide me in inspired action today, okay? The third wealthy mindset distinction I want to go over is leader versus victim. And this is so important, okay? If you want to be someone that's wealthy, you've got to step into your leadership, which means you take 100% responsibility, okay? Wealthy mindset is all about directing energy, people, and circumstances towards success. They focus on accomplishments instead of focusing on what they haven't accomplished. They are leading, they're guiding, they're going forward, they're having call to actions, they're asking for the sale. They're leading instead of victims are are, poor me, it's hard, economy's down, there's a pandemic, I can't do this, I don't know how, I wasn't born into that wealthy family, blah, 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 all that. Every excuse, they basically look through a lens. Successful people look through the lens of why they can do it, and victims look through a lens of why they can't do it, okay? And so it's basically that shift in mindset for a wealthy mindset. Super important to reinforce with the subconscious of understanding, getting all the sabotage out of your way. We do that through the E4 trauma method and different modalities to release the limited beliefs, release that limited identity so that you can fully step into being the leader that you were born to be. And I truly believe that anybody can become a leader. It's really just saying, you know what, I'm done being the victim. I'm ready to step into my leadership. Okay. Number 4, wealth mindset is now versus someday. Oh my gosh, I know this so well. I remember in my 20s, it was always like I was living for someday, like something would happen, or I'd be happy one day when this happened, or I'd be able to really fully live when this happened, whatever it may be. But now versus someday, that's the difference of a true wealth mindset, is understanding that life is only now. The universe only knows now. It doesn't know the future from the past. Okay, your psyche, your subconscious doesn't know the trauma that happened from yesterday or from, your childhood or from past life. It just is holding that trauma now. Same with the future. We recognize this through biofeedback that the mind only knows now. The subconscious and spiritually there's only now, because you're a divine spiritual being, and everything is the outpicturing of the cause and effect of what you've created in consciousness, okay? So leaders, wealthy mindset, understand the universe only knows the present moment. They realize that the present moment actions determine their future results. So if you want to really become wealthy, you've got to embody who you need to be right now. So what are the principles that a leader would have, a wealthy mindset? What are the standards? What do they do? How do they show up in business, in their relationships and whatever, right? Someday, that mindset of not a wealthy mindset is thinking one day I'll get there. I'll just hang out while we're in lockdown. I think I'll watch a lot of Netflix, and I'm just going to do, no offense to Netflix, okay? But like, it's constantly thinking, I'll get to it someday when I have more money, when I have more time, when I can make that decision. They find every excuse for doing it someday instead of doing it now. So my invitation for you as doing a wealthy mindset is maybe you want to read a book right now. Maybe you need to just get educated in the realm of wealth, what wealth is. What is an asset? What's a liability? What do you know, right? So today, instead of living for someday, what do you need to do today? What's the mindset and what's the skill set that you need to embody today to become somebody that has a wealthy mindset that can truly embody wealth in their personal and professional life, okay? Number 5 distinction today. Number 5 distinction is opportunities versus problems. This is huge, you guys. We teach this in society. We call it the shift, okay? So what leaders and what wealthy mindset people do is they take a look at everything, all their problems, and they shift them into opportunities. So we actually go through this process where you take a look at all the things that are holding you back. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough time. I don't know how to do that. I don't know the technology, blah, 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 all those problems. And then basically you schedule them on your calendar and you shift them in. Learn how to raise capital. Learn how to get crap off your schedule that you don't need so you have more time. I don't know, whatever that is. But the point is this, it's a wealthy mindset knows it's all opportunity. All of life is for growth. Every last bit of it. Every last bit of it. So if you want to have a wealthy mindset, you've got to shift from having problems to opportunities. How is the pandemic an opportunity? How is the lockdown an opportunity? How is not having money an opportunity? There's always a way. The truth is that the mind only knows potential. There's always a way to innovate. You can't afford a team? Fine. Get partners that will take on the different delegation, things that you need to delegate. There's always, always, always a way. If there's a will, there's a way, as they say, right? And this is the truth, is that you have that in you. You are the force, right? So next is number 6, which is creating versus reacting. I love this one. So people with wealthy mindset tend to live a life on their terms. That's right. You know it, right? You know out there who you're talking to. They proactively demonstrate thriving relationships, systems, and platforms, okay? They're constantly creating. We've taught this over and over and over during this time. Pivot, 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 create, 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 innovate, innovate, innovate. Okay, that's a leader. That's a wealthy mindset. I promise you, no matter what, if you have a wealthy mindset, you can survive with anything going on economically, health-wise, anything. There is a way, okay? You can create. We are creative beings. That's what we are, right? Versus the non-wealthy mindset reacts, okay? So they're constantly like a ping pong ball. They're constantly like, oh, I can't do that. Oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? Their internal navigation system is constantly being pushed around by the circumstances of their life, and they tend to respond in a fight or flight manner. They get upset, they get triggered, they can't sustain a team because they're constantly like getting pissed off at people and upset and all that stuff. Leaders and prosperity mindset, wealth mindset creates and it creates and creates. Wealth is infinite. It's just you only can stifle the amount of wealth you have by the amount that you limit your mind. That is the truth, okay? So you have to know this truth inside and out, that you have the ability to create. That's what you are. All you do is create. We're all creative beings. That's all we are, right? So are you creating or are you reacting? That is the question. Okay, so number seven is assets versus liabilities. This is huge, 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 okay? So individuals with wealthy mindset understand they must be an asset to the world. First of all, they have to be an asset, right? You get that versus just buying assets. You have to be an asset. Wealthy mindset understands they have to be an asset. Their company has to be an asset to people. It has to bring value. It has to solve problems, right? They also invest in assets versus liabilities, okay? So non-wealthy mindset is their liabilities. They literally are liabilities to people. They're dragging people down through chaos, through drama, through gossip, through making people wrong. They're liabilities because they're so sporadic. They don't know. They don't show up half the time. They're not consistent. They're liabilities. You know those people in your life. You know the liabilities that don't belong in your inner circle anymore, right? They're liabilities. They bring your life down. They bring the company down. They build debt, okay? So wealthy mindset is where you are an asset, and you spend money and invest in relationships and projects and investments that are assets. They go up in value. People raise you up in value, okay? The non-wealthy mindset is liabilities. They are a liability. They invest in liabilities. They have debt. They don't understand. Everything in their life gets worse and worse and worse, okay? So wealthy mindset is that you build and build and build, and it multiplies abundantly. And liability is you get in debt, get in debt, and you get more and more in prison, okay? One entangles you and one frees you. That's the difference, okay? So number 8 of today, the distinction around a wealthy mindset is action versus analyzing. This is huge. This is huge. This is a distinction that isn't talked about very often, okay? We call it being on the court versus off the court, okay? So if you are somebody who is a wealthy mindset, you're on the court, you are hitting that ball of life, you are in the action, you are seeing what works, you're trying it out, it's working, doesn't work, you get offense, defense, you're trying all of it. You are on the court, you are in action, you are doing it. Analyzers are like they're in the stands. They're in the stands, they're evaluating, and they're like, well, that's good, that's bad, that's whatever. But they don't ever actually take the action. They're constantly evaluating it. In fact, they're in, analysis paralysis, as they say, right? So people who are wealthy mindset actively play the game of life. They take extraordinary action, tweaking their performances as needed. They understand that life rewards initiative, and gives critical feedback through the law of cause and effect. They're in the game of life. They're in this classroom of life, right? That's wealthy mindset. The non-wealthy mindset is they don't take action. They sit there and evaluate for years. They take the next course and the next course, and they don't actually implement the course. And then they go on to the next course and they make the last course wrong. Trust me, I know those people, okay? So they constantly are trying to figure it out. They're constantly needing more information. They're constantly making other people wrong instead of staying for the long term, okay? Yes. This is so important to take action versus analyzing, okay? Stop evaluating. Stop trying to figure it out. Take action. Learn through the cause and effect, and don't be afraid to fail. Some of the greatest mentors I've ever heard say fail fast. It's the greatest thing you can do is fail. It's amazing what lessons you learn, all the things. So don't be afraid to fail. In fact, realize that the people that usually have the most success have failed the most. They've had great failures, and because of that, they've been able to learn, pivot, and come back even stronger, okay? Action, action, action. Life rewards action. Number nine, wealthy mindset. Number 9 is production versus inefficiency, okay? So productive people and wealthy mindset people have a mindset that expresses their heart-specific message and with the least amount of effort, okay? So it's super important to understand that the effort, it needs to come from a really authentic place, okay? Productivity, okay? So we know that it's like the 80-20 rule. We can do all the kind of to-do things all day long, and we only, like 20% of it actually only does something, right? It actually is the efficient thing. So wealthy mindset people get really intentional around being productive. They get that it's not about doing a bunch of emails. It's a bunch of blah, 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 right? They get that, what am I here to produce? What's my one thing? We teach this over and over in Soulciety, the one thing. What is the one thing you want to produce this year? The biggest one thing. What is the one big thing you want to produce in the quarter? Every 12 weeks, we reproduce what we're going to do in our goals, our big one goal in the area, okay? And then we go down to the month, the week, the day, and the hour. What is your one thing you're going to produce in this day? Okay. What's the one thing you're going to produce in this hour? Okay. And we want to get very productive based, because life's just more fun when you produce stuff versus being really busy and not actually doing anything. Not wealthy mindset is being inefficient. They do a lot of to-do lists. They have those long lists every single day that they get to everything but the big things, stuff like that, right? They're very inefficient. They just are literally like, they're just creating a lot of stuff. It doesn't get complete. Projects go unfinished. Relationships get severed. They dwindle off. Things stop, whatever again. Okay. So a wealthy mindset understands that, like this year, imagine that you created one more passive income this year instead of just did the rat race again, okay? So part of what I teach in Soulciety is the mindset. I don't want you to go 10 years from now and go, oh, cool, I'm making $100,000, but I got to work my ass off every single year over and over again just to maintain that $100,000. What if in 10 years from now, we actually produced something that was passive income, produced a business and a brand that was worth millions, and we produced having a lifestyle that really, really works and that is able for you to do what you truly, really love to do, okay? So you got to start thinking smarter. Wealthy mindset is to think smarter in your productivity instead of inefficiency. And you got to really start thinking bigger and outside of the box of what you thought before, okay? Super important, you guys. So important to know this. Okay. Last distinction of the day for this, number 10 for a wealthy mindset, is leverage versus weakness. This is a 101 of wealth, okay? This 101 of being wealthy, okay? Individuals with wealthy mindset understand how to exert less force upon life while getting greater resource. This is leverage, okay? It's leverage. It's the actual physics of leverage, okay? So how do we do that in wealth? Well, we will actually take debt on that is for investments, meaning that that wealthy mindset understands there's a time to borrow money and it's for leverage, okay? But you borrow money when you are building an asset, like in real estate, like in a company that's going to have more money come out, like in, different areas of investments, or you take this on for leverage. It's why we leverage, okay? There's bad debt and there's good debt. Bad debt means that you're paying for something that is a liability and that's going down in value. Good debt is potentially where it is you are educated enough to where it goes up in value. Things that are leveraging that investment, okay? Again, I am not a financial advisor, so please reach out to your financial advisor for advice on how to get good debt versus bad debt and what they recommend for you, okay? So super important to understand that a wealthy mindset, the 10th principle is leverage versus weakness. So wealthy people understand that they know when to leverage and when they know not to leverage, and they know when to leverage through incredible relationships as well, when to leverage and collaborate with other brands, how to leverage in life, right? Weakness is when you understand that you do not have it, you have to do it all on your own and you only get bad debt, okay? So on that note, we're going back again through the 10 distinctions of a wealthy mindset, you guys. Super important to understand wealthy mindset. You deserve to live a life of true wealth, okay? So let's just recap on these real quick, and then we're going to pray out. So number one for a wealthy mindset was purpose versus confused. Wealthy people live on purpose. They're no longer, they give up that old story of being confused. Second distinction today of a wealthy mindset is commitment versus trying. So how committed are you, or are you still trying and going around in circles, right? Number three is leader versus victim. Are you taking 100% responsibility, or are you still being the victim of the circumstances of life? Number four is now versus someday. The wealthy mindsets understand there is only now. The mind only knows now, the universe only knows. Or are you waiting for someday for Prince Charming or something to show up on your doorstep for it to make it happen, right? So next is number five, opportunities versus problems. Wealthy mindset understands everything is an opportunity, an opportunity to innovate, pivot, and create. Victims, if you will, or non-leaders are problems oriented. They're always focusing on the problems, and therefore they got a lot of problems, right? Number six is creating versus reacting. So leaders and wealthy mindset understand that it's all about creating, all about that. Reacting for non-wealthy mindset is reacting. They're constantly a pinball machine, a ball going to life, reacting, getting upset, all that stuff. Number seven is assets versus liabilities for a wealthy mindset. Are you buying assets? Are you investing in people that are assets? Are you living your life with a great return on investment, your ROI, or are you a liability? Dragging people down, getting bad debt, and investing in people that cause discord, dysfunction, and everything just doesn't work, right? Number eight is action versus analyzing. So wealthy mindset takes actions. They're on the court. They understand this is the game of life. They are at it. Whether they win or lose, they're on action because they're learning, right? Non-wealthy mindset is analyzing. They're constantly in the stands. They're evaluating and saying how everyone else should do it, but they're not actually doing it themselves, right? They're sitting there just analyzing and trying to figure it out for their entire life, okay? Number nine of wealthy mindset is productive versus inefficient. Basically, wealthy mindset understands that it is all about the focus of mind. We understand that under the divine mind, universal mind, that as we direct our energy upon mind, we instantaneously have specific results. Focus, focus, focus equals power. Clarity is power, and that is what a wealthy mindset understands. And number 10 is leverage versus weakness. And that means good debt versus bad debt. Wealthy people understand there's a time to take on debt when you are building and leveraging your wealth, your mindset, all of the above. And others that are not in a wealthy mindset understand that they just get more debt to buy that next fancy car, that next whatever. They take on more and more debt. Okay, so Charles F. Hannell said it best. The power is from within, but we cannot receive it unless we give it. That's right. Charles Hannell, he wrote Master Key System. Amazing. The power is from within, but we cannot receive it unless we give it. And that is universal law. So the truth is that the greatest, biggest mindset of all wealth is understanding that we have to give it to receive it. It is a flow. Currency is a flow. Wealth is a flow. And the wealthiest people, if you go up, I've been going every single day at 5 p.m. up to the beautiful hills of Beverly Hills. The homes are between $10 and $100 million. And what you know this, they're not sitting on wealth. They are, majority of all wealthy people have all in investments. It's moving, it's flowing. They don't have a bunch of money in the bank. They actually have a bunch of money in investments. It is an active thing, okay? So I understand that you have to give and receive all of life. And again, we want to make the distinction, just because you have a bunch of money does not mean you have a truly wealthy life. True wealth is in the purpose driven, that also has money, that has all of it. So in fact, the truth is that not only will you lose everything if you don't understand and get a wealthy mindset, but you will also never be fulfilled, okay? So let's redefine what wealth is for us. Let's live our greatest life. So come together in truth, in mind, in prayer, knowing that prayer is not to a man in the sky. Prayer is to expand our consciousness and embody the greatest version of ourselves. Taking a deep breath in through the nose. Suspending the breath and exhaling out through the mouth. I recognize that it is your divine right. Wealth is who you are. It is who you've always been. It is who you will always be, and it is who you are now. Wealth is consciousness, the backing of all of everything. Wealth has created all the money, all the gold, everything on this planet, and I recognize you are worth more than all of that. I divinely guide and declare right now, I claim my birthright of prosperity, and I claim your birthright of prosperity. It is done, done, and done. I simply know this, as together we say, and so it is. All right, you guys, have a beautiful day. If this is your first time tuning in, I'm Dr. Erin. I'm a doctor of divinity. I'm the founder of Soul Society, and we are launching New Thought Global. We actually train and develop spiritual leaders, whether you have a soul-based business or you desire to be a spiritual coach, or eventually we're going to be licensing spiritual practitioners, ministers, and I'm creating a doctor of divinity based in Science of Mind 102. We're going to be bringing in the sciences to a next level in Science of Mind. That's right. We are in collaboration with Unity's Divine Science and Science of Mind. 1,500 centers around the world, you guys. It is a divine day. You can also join our free community, which is called Inner Circle. And we do have the leadership program right now as well. You can go into my bio. There's incredible programs and freebies, free gifts, free affirmations. You can binge my podcast, so on and so forth. Have an amazing day, you guys, and may you live your truth.